there, this is Susie back again with another episode on fancy leaf pelargoniums, which is my main plants here in Victoria that I grow. And fancy leaves is my favorite. Why? Because I love seeing leaf changes from autumn right up to spring. Sometimes it will carry on right into summer. And then they will have a break from flowering and they will have a bit of a rest, and then straight after the summer months, getting into a bit more coolish weather, they start to show their beautiful leaves, which is worth admiring. I love fancy leaves. It's one of my favorites of all pelargoniums. Here in front of me I have got at least 3 different varieties of them. And the first one here I have got petals, which has single pink flowers on them, and I just love the leaves, you know, the leaves that what makes it. And over here I have Chelsea gem, and you know, both of these plants look very similar in leaf formation. As you know, without flowers you cannot tell any difference between them. They are, if you let it grow wild out in your garden without putting them in pots, you will find that they will reach right up to meter to meter and a half if you don't actually trim and look after them out in the gardens. Same with this one. If you let it go, they will grow up to 1 to 1.5 meters in height. And this particular one, the only difference I can tell, that petals has got yellow, the markings outside marking looks a bit more yellowy or creamy. That's one way of distinguishing the difference between the petals to Chelsea gem. And Chelsea gem has got rather very whitish leaf, really, if you're looking at the leaf formation, the outside, and it has got rather serrated edges on it, and same as here, serrated edge, and they just look beautiful this time of the year. And over here, this is a tri-colour of my Mrs. Pollock. When there is no colour on Mrs. Pollock, it looks very much like this, that it doesn't bring out the intense red and the yellows and the brown. In summer, this is what the leaves really look like. It's not much colour on them. And then as soon as the weather starts warming up, you get this beautiful coloration of yellow. And as you can see here, it comes out this beautiful tri-colors with yellow edges, and there's the brown zoning or copper zoning, some of them call it, and then you got green and red. So really speaking, they are not tri-color. I would call it quadruple color. Actually, you've got 4 colors in it, and dual colors here. And this one is a pretty pink one, double pink, light pink flowers you get out of these, and this is just a single orange, and this one is a single pink. That's what they flower, but flower is really not worth admiring as much as the flowers, as you can see. And this time of the year, when in winter there is nothing else to admire, you can sit out there with your pot plants and admire the formation of the leaves, because each leaf is so different. Now, what I'm going to show you today is, in winter there are a few things you can do with fancy leaves. Always take note of how they are growing. And here in this particular case, as you can see, it's growing one-sided. And I really want this one to be more denser plants coming, sort of forming this way a bit. And it is reaching a height that I particularly don't want it to go any higher than what it is. So I really want to remove some of these branches, simply because I wanted more branches of them, or more shootings of them coming out, more plants to form, rather than just what it is. So to make it a nice looking bush, you have to keep on trimming throughout winter to make it look beautiful. And do leave some of them if you like to admire the flowers. Like this one, I would leave this particular one because I can see a bud here. So I would like to see the flower, of course, so I might just leave that one. But this one's here, and this particular one is also, I can see, is in bud, so I might just take this one off. Even though they are budding, there's one thing you can do is remove or nip the fresh shoot there, because this will encourage it to shoot more little plants or babies coming out of them. And I will do the same here because I know where the bud is, and I will just remove the top, because I really want more shooting. Now this one, I really want to take a cutting out of this. So what I will do, of course, always cut your plants just above the petioles, just above the leaves, in other words. So I am just going to cut this particular one as far down as I want, because I want a bit denser, so I'll cut just above. Here's the leaf, and I have just cut just above the leaf here. So this is where I want some new shoots coming out. So I'll leave that one because that will be really nice to have forming lots of denser. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to take all the bottom leaves off it and just leave two remaining, which is this two. And I am just, I've already made some potting mix here out of some normal garden soil. I have put a little bit, and I have put a cacti and succulent mix in here, and I have also put a bit of potting mix. So this is just to let it grow in this particular soil. So here's my cutting. The first one that I am cutting in autumn, getting a cutting started in that particular pot, and I'm just going to show you how much water I put in it. Just a little bit. That's the mouthful it gets, no more. And because it's winter, you don't want to be watering them too often and too much. Just a quarter of a cup or half a cup, depends upon the size of your pot. As you can see, I have chosen a smaller pot, and of course there is another small one here, so I'm hoping that I will make another cutting out of this and plonk them there. Now that one I have done, I'm quite happy with how this will gonna perform. There's only a few things I will tidy up. It's always tidy up your leaves that you don't want to see, because there will be always dirty leaves with dust on them, and there will be always leaves that you know, it's not worth admiring. So that's what you do with them. And I have tidied that particular one. And here is my Chelsea gem. Chelsea gem, if you don't look after them, they can actually grow quite tall. So I'm going to see what I'm going to do. To start off with, I will take all the leaves that I don't really want to see. And this is a very good time to tidy, because we are in the last month of autumn. As we all know, in Australia, that's what's happening at the moment. In US, of course, they'll be coming into spring very soon, I think. And then they will be coming into summer. So for them, it will be a different situation altogether, where they'll be probably thinking about not showing their fancy leaves too much sun. They will be trying to put them somewhere safer, out of sun, you know, as long as they get 3 hours of sun, and they will be thinking about basically looking after them, see how they're going. Whereas over here, this is the best time for the show. The fancy leaves are on the show. Now, I'm just chopping up this one here, because I really don't particularly want this particular branch here is what I'm looking at, and I don't want to cut it in a hurry, making the wrong decision. So I'm just chopping the bottom leaves off first to see how it's looking. And this is Chelsea gem, and if I don't cut this particular branch, it will just keep going up, and that's what I don't want. So what I'm going to do is literally cutting it off just over here. It looks what you call a bit bland, you know, it's got nothing in it, but given another month, you will see it's sprouting everywhere. It's just giving me new beautiful plants and shoots to be on the show, as I have done one with Henry Cox right in front of the house, where it went all bare. It was hardly anything in the pot, but within a month it filled up again. So don't hesitate to actually give them a good pruning. You know, I mean, it is sad to see plant or the pot like this, but you won't be sad in a month's time, believe me. So here we go. It's looking a bit bare, but it will come up really beautifully. So I have sorted the Chelsea gem out there, and then this particular one, the Chelsea gem, actually one of my ladies that I would love to have a swap with, and she would be interested in Chelsea's gem, I'm sure, because she wanted a few of my fancy leaves. So maybe I will ask her if she would like this particular one. So I won't plant them, I was going to, but that's a spare. So this is what I do. If I do have a spare, and when I do pruning about this time of the year or throughout the winter, you know, here and there, I will be pruning, trimming, chopping branches off and things like that. I normally either plant them or swap them, or, you know, sell them basically. If nobody else wants them, I normally just try to get a few dollars out of them. And here I have got Mrs. Pollock, which is one of my favorites of all fancy leaves. Now this one is not looking too bad. I don't know what's happening here. This is, I must have plonked this in, but nothing has come out of it, even though it's alive. I might just plant this one in here. Better to plant them in here and see what happens, whether it will give me something there. I must have just taken the branch out and plonked them in here. I didn't realize that it's not doing well. Anyway, so I'm looking at this now. As you can see, I have got a couple of spots here, which means that the leaves are not the tricolors here. I will just let it grow a bit more and see exactly what I wish to do with these sport leaves here, you know, because obviously I haven't got one of these particular leaf variety in sport, so I might keep it just to see what happens. I'm not going to chop that off, and if I think that it needs to be removed, I will, which given another few leaves I will, and plant them somewhere else and see what happens with that. Now I am just rotating to see the shape of this. Yes, there's this particular one that I want to remove, this one here, even though it's giving me a beautiful leaves. You'll be surprised when I put them in a little pot, it starts to give even more intense color. It surprises me how you repot them and then it is a better plant. It comes down to be a better, you know, it has got more beautiful colors, and it stands out a lot more. It intensifies it. So it hasn't got any buds that I wish to see in it. I could nip it, but I really don't want it as high as this. So I will just cut one of these branches just above the leaves, just above the petiole, where I think that will form a nice little shoots, which I can't see here. It's the forming shoots, so I'm just gonna cut just above it. I've done it, and here's the outcome. And what I am going to do is take these bottom leaves off, this particular leaves off, because I don't want to leave too many leaves. And I think what I will do, oh no, this one is also for one of my customers, so I'll just plonk that in and see whether this one will actually grow or not. It should if I look after it. It's not dead. Give it a little bit of water. And I'll just see how it goes. It still is green, and here's the shoot here that I'm hoping that will come up. This probably will go to another customer for a swap that she wanted up in Queensland. So Queenslanders will find it a little bit difficult to grow fancy leaves simply because, number one, they're not so much the temperature is an issue there, it's the high humidity would be an issue in for Queenslanders growing fancy leaves, and also their rainfall, which means that's what gives them the high humidity. Now, as you can see, I have pruned that beautifully. I just love the shape. I know it gets a little bit bare, and cut, trim the leaves that are old, naked, you don't want to see, just chop them off. But they are old leaves from last season. That's not what we want to see. Why bother providing all the nutrients to them, or you know, the energy, when it could be providing onto other leaves. See, I have made it really bare, but it doesn't really matter. That's what it's going to look like, and in time it will just fill it up nicely. It will make it more denser, and given another month or two, which is the time this particular plant comes live, all the fancy leaves, and I will have a little break and come back and show you a few others that I want to plant them in these two little pots, and also going to show you some of my beautiful pelargoniums that would also require some help, I guess, or require tidying up. See you shortly. Bye for now. Here we are. I'm back again. I'm going to talk about this couple of pelargoniums I have got here. One of them here is the crocodile ivy variety, and it has got a beautiful purpley crimsony single flower that I am going to take it out of this pot and put it in one of these terracotta pots. And why do I like terracotta pots? Because it's a good absorption, water absorption mechanism that terracotta pots do have, and any extra waters, it absorbs it. And as you know, a lot of pelargoniums or geraniums or ivies or zonals and all sorts of different varieties of pelargoniums don't really like wet feet, soggy soil, damp soil, overwatering. You need to look after them as a succulent you would, because succulent keeps the moisture in. And this is how they survive up in the alpine regions. You know, you must have heard of hardy pelargoniums or hardy geraniums, sorry. That's where they come from, these hardy geraniums from South African alpine mountain, driest part of the mountain region, and the only source of water is there when the weather gets cold and rain. So they, as soon as it rains, they just keep it in their set. Similarly to all the succulents, so you could say quite easily that they are of a succulent family, so treat them in that way. Now I'm just going to plant this one in one of these pots, so let's do it. I have filled it up right up, so I'm just going to take some soil off because I don't need to. So I have used succulent and cacti mix with my garden soil, just ordinary garden soil, and I have also put a bit of pellets of dynamic lifter. Now I've mixed it all in, and that's the mixture that I normally use in all my pelargonium planting. Obviously I planted this as a cutting, and I am going to remove as much soil as I can, just leaving what the root is holding onto. And I am just gonna put it in here just beautifully, just like that. And I'm just going to fill it up nicely with the soil. You know, try with different mixtures of soil and stuff and see what works for you. I use all sorts, whatever works for me. I go to Bunnings and buy that soil mix from Richgrove for $3.95. And then I buy a bag of succulent cacti mix of Scots variety. And you can also buy the Yates potting mix, which says plus dynamic lifter, so you don't have to add anything. I mean, that's one of the best ones I have discovered, actually. But if you want to go cheap, buy that Richgrove for $3.95 and you add your own beds, or just buy the Yates dynamic lifter mix, potting mix. And I sort of alternate it. To me, it makes no difference because they both perform really well for me. So that one is done. And I shall give a bit of water, and I'm not going to flood it because it is winter. It gets quite cold now here, drops to about currently about 14 to 15, 10 degrees. So it will keep the soil wet and also cold. So you don't want to be giving it too much water. So that's how much I've given. That's done. And that's how much water I'll be giving probably once a week. I would have to cut down because the weather is getting cool. Now here's another one in front of me. As you can see, it's looking very sick. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tidy it up because it's finished flowering. This particular plant is called Salmon Princess. And it's got a beautiful double flowers on it. And so I have removed all the flowers that is finished flowering. And as you can see, some of the leaves have been eaten, chewed by the caterpillars. So I'm just going to remove all that because that's not pretty to look at. This is what happens when they get hidden behind other plants or trees, and within, just takes one day for a caterpillar to sort these plants out. So I have sprayed it since, so you're getting these beautiful leaves now. And now it's not really, it is a dwarf variety of this Salmon Princess, and it's, I think if I'm correct, it's a peck variety. Which is compact in its nature, so it's not going to grow really huge, and will just remain like a little ball if you let it get into a nice ball, and rather compact. It won't grow more than 20 to 30 centimeters high. And I have really trimmed it well, so, and I don't particularly like the pot because it retains too much moisture. So I've got exactly the same mixture as there. And I'm going to repot it in a terracotta pot because I just don't like this particular pot. And take some of the soil out and just drop it down gently, which I have. And fill it up with some soil. And compact it. Compact it nicely. It's done. My planting is done for that. And the little label, just stick it in. And of course, always have all these things handy, and make sure you write what that is. I'll just write crock, ivy. At the back, I like to sort of write down the date when I planted it in memory. I think today is the 15th or close enough. So I know what's happening when I write P. That means planting. Planted it on that day. And this one was actually planted in this pot on the 1st of the 1st 19, and it hasn't really done that well, but it did give me a really, as you can see, all these flowers, 1, 2, 3 bunches of flowers with 1, 2, 3, there's only 3 branches there. So I've had a good flowering period on it, and I'm going to cut that 1/119 off, and then I'll put it 15 of the 5th. So I know how this is progressing. Now, I have finished doing tidying up, sorting my pelargoniums out for sort of coming into winter, cleaning them, tidying and planting some of these up. Don't forget to do all this about this time of the year in May, and keep updated all your pelargoniums. And I will talk to you or see you later in my next program, which is just after this, the flowering pelargoniums, the ones that are in flower. Looking forward to see you then. Bye.